Hi, welcome to You and All of Your Parts. I'm Laura Lively, and I just finished, if you didn't see it, go back and watch it. I just finished a series on what I call the 4 A's of IFS. And I want to be very clear. These were things I saw in my own clients. This is not, the 4 A's are not sanctioned by the IFS Institute. And it's just things that I just happen to see over and over with my clients, as well as with my own work as it related to working with my parts. And so I just finished that series. I hope you go back and watch it if you haven't already seen it or already watched it or heard it, on the podcast. So those 4 A's are awareness. I have to be aware that my parts have taken over and or aware that I have a part that's active, as the case may be. I need to be able to acknowledge it, accept it, and appreciate it. Once I have that awareness, so I need to be aware of it. I need to be aware it's a part. Our parts show up as thoughts, emotions, impulses, as memories, as bodily sensations. Like when fear clutches your throat or you feel like uneasy in your stomach. Our parts can show up so many different ways, and it's one of the learnings that we need to do on our journey is be aware when they're active. So awareness, then we want to be able to acknowledge, accept, and appreciate them. So having done that series, I thought I would spend some time talking about the 8 C's of self energy. And before I kick off that series, which I'll probably do next week, because like to keep these short, so I want them to be, bites of information. But I wanted to kick it off and let you know what was coming so that you can maybe prepare for it. And my invitation to you over these next few weeks is for you to begin to notice when I go kind of deep into what the definition is as it relates to IFS for those 8 qualities of self. I want you to start to notice, where do you see those in your life? Which of those do you have access to? Which of them maybe do you not see yourself having? I know that when I started my journey, I remember I read about the 8 qualities of self and how, Dick Schwartz, the founder, believes that self cannot be destroyed, that we all have it if our parts can relax back and allow us access to that self energy. And I remember a part of me saying, "You have no self energy. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about." So I went and found an IFS practitioner. And the thing that I loved so much about this work is pretty quickly, like within 30 days or 4 sessions with the practitioner, I could see the difference. I could have access to some of the self qualities. So that was really important. And that's how my journey began with this healing modality. So I just want to let you know that over the next few weeks, we are going to be talking about those 8 C's, 8 qualities of self and self energy. But before we get there, I wanted to talk about how some of us have a part, myself included, lots of my clients have a part that believes that self is good and parts are bad. And I just want to cover off on the fact that that's just not true. Our parts, when they are not in extreme roles, they have gifts for us. And the reason that they get into extreme roles is that they believe that they have to protect us. So I just wanted to share that tidbit. That's why I tend to lead with parts. That's why uh, you know, this is why I call this series You and All of Your Parts, because I believe that building a relationship with them is key to you having more inner peace. So before we go too much further in this series, I do want to talk about what does that mean then? If it's not this kind of dichotomy or this duality where self is good and parts are bad, then what is it? And does that mean, what does that mean in terms of being in self? So I often use a ruler to explain to potential clients that if you consider on one end of the ruler is self energy, and this is where, so on one end, let me back up. On one end of the ruler is self energy. On the other end of the ruler is where you're overly blended with a part, and maybe the parts even hijacked you, and you are now screaming at your kids, or you're face down in a tub of something you wish you weren't eating, and you're completely hijacked. Or in my case, one of my favorite parts I like to talk about is my road rage part. I'm actually chasing somebody down in a car because I'm planning to kill them, right? Like my road rage part is taken completely over. So that's the two extremes, is I'm completely taken over by a part, or on the other end, I am, sitting in blissful oneness with God of my choice. And so what I tend to say is like on one end is like Christ energy, Buddha energy. I don't live there. Nobody I know actually lives there. Can I dip into there sometimes? Absolutely. I can dip into there when I am moving me further down the ruler towards this Christ energy, this love, this agape, Buddha energy, Zen state. I can dip into there when I'm doing certain things. When, for example, for me personally, when I'm out on a kayak, when I am really involved or engrossed in an art project, when I'm out in nature, I get closer and closer to those places. When I'm in meditation, sometimes I get really close, but I don't stay there. I don't live there because life happens and we are human. Now, on the other end, we talked a little bit about my road rage part. I don't want to live there either. And what I have to understand is that my road rage part is doing the best he possibly can to try to help me. Where we generally live is somewhere in the middle, and it is a continuum. Now, this concept was not created by me. It was created by Cease Sykes, who is the addiction trainer, addiction and recovery trainer at IFS. And she talked about this continuum that at any given time, we are moving in between acts, our parts and self energy, our parts and self energy. And that's the way it should be. It is not that we get to self energy. It's not like the end of the road, right? It's the journey, not the destination. There is no destination. We do not live here. I don't live here. I don't know anybody who lives here. So I just wanted to kind of set that up as we dive into the series, because I think it's important that we start to realize me living in those 8 C's is not very actually likely, but I can dip into them. I can dip my toes into those 8 C's that we're going to be covering over the next few weeks. And so my invitation to you over this series is to note what comes up for you when I talk about the individual qualities of self, and then explore for yourself that week, during the week, in between lessons, where do you see some of that in yourself? I'm going to be talking about definitionally what are those 8 C's, um, what are the definitions of those 8 C's as it relates to IFS. I will be sharing with you my own experience with those 8 C's and maybe some tips and tricks for you to be able to access some of those yourself. So I hope you're looking forward to the upcoming series. Tune in each week. We'll cover off on a different C. And please let me know how this lands with you, the idea of a continuum versus it being, I live in self or I'm totally blended with the part. Pretty sure you don't want to be totally blended with the part, but let me know, how does it land for you when I tell you that it's a continuum and we really want to live somewhere in the middle? And I look forward to your comments and you drop me a line at laura@lauralively.com. And, until next time, love to you and all of your parts.